Hi everyone, Mrs. Cooper here. Hope you're enjoying the sunshine and spending some time with your family. Today it's my turn to read you a story, and I've chosen to read a story based in India. So for any of you that know me, you'll know I really love travel and different countries, and I love animals as well. So I've decided to read a story called Chandra and the Elephants, set in India. Hope you enjoy. Chandra lived in India with her parents, who were very hard-working rice farmers. Although her family didn't have a lot of money, Chandra was happy. She especially enjoyed watching the huge elephants that roamed around the village. Our ruler, the Raja, owns those elephants. He is very wise, Chandra, said her father. He says we farmers must give him all the rice we harvest, so he can keep it safe. Then, if there is ever a famine, he will give it back to us so that we don't starve. That is very wise indeed, said Chandra's mother. And so, every harvest, the villagers kept just enough rice for themselves and their families, and gave the rest to the Raja to store away. Since there was no extra rice to sell, Chandra helped her parents by getting a job washing the Raja's elephants. Chandra loved the elephants and got to know their ways very well. Then, one year, there was a terrible drought, and the rice harvest failed. The people went to ask the wise Raja for their rice, but he refused them. I am the Raja, he said. I must keep all the rice for myself. Chandra and the villagers were very upset. How would they survive the drought if they had nothing to eat? One day, as Chandra approached the elephant stables to give them their daily wash, two big guards stopped her. You can't go in there, said one guard. Raja's orders. Why not? Asked Chandra. I am the elephant's bather, that's my job. That may be, said the second guard, but the elephants are sick, and the Raja doesn't want anyone but the elephant doctors with them until they are better. Saddened, Chandra went home, but she was very worried about the elephants. So every day she went back, and every day she was told the same thing. Finally, on the fourth day, she could see that the guards were worried. What's wrong? She asked. The doctors aren't helping, the first guard told her. The elephants aren't getting any better. Let me see the Raja, said Chandra. I know the elephants better than anyone. Maybe I can help. Reluctantly, the guards took Chandra to see their ruler. Chandra had never been inside the Raja's palace before. She gazed upon, open-mouthed, at the colourful silk cushions and beautiful mosaics on the walls, and the gorgeous patterned carpets. The Raja was sitting under a sunshade with a checkerboard in front of him, playing a game with one of his advisors. Who are you and what do you want? The Raja demanded, when the guards brought young Chandra before him. Please, Your Excellency, said Chandra, I am Chandra and I wash your elephants. Would you let me look at them and see if I can find what was wrong with them? The Raja stared down at Chandra. But you are just a child, he laughed. Take her away, he commanded. Wait, said Chandra. I visit the elephants every day, and I know them very well. Please let me see them. The Raja considered the girl. I prize my elephants above all things, he said at last. You may see them, and if you can cure them, I will give you anything you want. Chandra was taken immediately to her beloved elephants. She was very shocked to see how sick they were. The elephants crowded around her and stroked her sadly with their trunks. You poor things, said Chandra, kissing each one in turn. She examined every elephant very carefully, and when she looked in their ears, she realized what the problem was. The elephants' ears were blocked. So she got plenty of rags and warm water and thoroughly cleaned each animal's ear. Sure enough, within a few days, the elephants were completely well again. The Raja was overjoyed and summoned Chandra to him. You have made my elephants better, he cried. Tell me what you would like as a reward. Jewels, fine silks, name it and it shall be yours. Chandra thought long and hard. She looked around at the riches of the palace and at the Raja's splendid clothes. She thought about all the villagers starving because of the drought, and of the Raja's storehouses packed full of rice. Some grains of rice, Your Excellency, she said. Very well, agreed the Rajah, surprised. How many do you want? Chandra looked at the Rajah's checkerboard. All I ask is that you place 1 grain of rice on the first square of your board, she said. Then 2 on the second, 4 on the third, and so on, doubling the amount with each square until you come to the last square. Do as she says, the Rajah clapped his hands, delighted she had asked for so little. The Rajah's servants began to place rice grains as Chandra had directed. The board had 8 rows of 8 squares, 64 squares in total. The servants doubled the grains on each square, and by the time they reached the first square of the second row, they had to count out 256 grains of rice. That's about a spoonful of rice, said Chandra. To make it easier, why don't you start measuring it in spoonfuls now? The servants thought that was a good idea, so they measured 2 spoonfuls for the next square, and 4 for the next. At the end of the second row, Chandra said, That's about a bowlful of rice. Why don't you start measuring it in bowlfuls now? By the end of the third row, the rice filled a large cart, and by the end of the 5th row, Chandra had emptied the Rajah's entire store. The Rajah looked on in dismay. I have no more rice left, he wailed. How much rice do I need to finish the board? Chandra smiled. If you keep doubling it up until the last square, the whole country will be knee-deep in rice, she said. I cannot give you that much, the Rajah cried. What can I do to be released from this promise I can't keep? You must give the rice back to the villagers, said Chandra, and only keep enough for yourself and your household. The Rajah agreed. He gave back almost all the rice and promised never to be so greedy again. When Chandra returned to the village, her parents were very proud of their clever daughter. After that, the Rajah was a much wiser ruler. He never again took more rice than he needed. The villagers were able to sell their extra rice, so they weren't so poor. But each year they kept a little bit in case there was another famine. Chandra continued to look after the elephants, and they all loved her even more, and she never looked at a checkerboard again without smiling to herself. Okay. Brilliant. That's the end of the story. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you stay safe, everyone.